gonna challenge him with 4 brutal questions.
Bloody chaos of human nature.
Trust is the ultimate currency.
My ideology is not evil.
I challenge that your entire ideology is actually a coward's defense mechanism.
If a leader prioritizes his own pristine moral purity over the survival of his people, he is the true coward.
For over 500 years, one man has been blamed for the world's greatest evils. Today, I'm bringing Niccolò Machiavelli back to face the modern world. I'm going to challenge him with 4 brutal questions to prove his ruthless ideology is dead wrong. Can the master of manipulation survive the truth? Let the debate begin. You claim it's better to be feared than loved, and that power justifies deceit. But history shows tyrants always fall to the very hatred they sow. How can you defend a philosophy of ruthless manipulation when it mathematically guarantees paranoia, isolation, and eventual betrayal by the allies you coerced? Your prince builds a throne of ice that inevitably shatters.
You judge me from the comfort of a peaceful era, forgetting the bloody chaos of human nature. Men are fickle, hypocritical, and driven by self-interest. Love is a fragile bond, easily broken the moment a man's desires change. Fear, however, is maintained by a dread of punishment that never fails. I do not demand cruelty for pleasure, but calculated ruthlessness to prevent greater anarchy. If a leader refuses to play the dark game of power, he will be swiftly devoured by those who do. The tyrant falls, yes, but the weak prince never even rises. My ideology is not evil. It is the ultimate survival mechanism for a vicious world.
You advise leaders to be both the lion and the fox, to break promises when it is no longer advantageous. But in our modern, hyper-connected era, trust is the ultimate currency. A reputation for deception destroys alliances faster than armies. Hasn't the modern world proven your cynical fox strategy completely obsolete and self-destructive?
You confuse a man's reputation with reality. I never instructed a leader to be a clumsy, visible liar. I explicitly wrote that he must master the art of illusion, appearing fiercely merciful, faithful, humane, and profoundly religious.
The modern world has not disproved my teachings. It has brilliantly perfected them. Observe your politicians and corporate titans.
They utilize public relations to mask broken promises, with the grand illusion of necessity and the greater good. The masses still judge entirely by what they see, not by what is hidden in the shadows. Trust is a currency, yes, but it is one the cunning freely manufacture. The fox still rules. He just wears a better disguise.
The end justifies the means is your ultimate defense. But when the means involve slaughter, betrayal, and stripping humans of dignity, the end itself becomes corrupted. By normalizing brutal tactics, don't you guarantee a perpetual cycle of violence where stability is never actually achieved?
You fundamentally misunderstand the brutal mechanics of the state. I never promised a utopian society of perpetual harmony. Believing in such a thing is a fatal delusion. I promise only the preservation of the state against imminent collapse.
When a surgeon amputates a rotting limb, you do not condemn him as a butcher. You praise him for saving the patient's life. Statecraft is no different.
If a swift, brutal action crushes a rebellion, it spares thousands of innocent lives that would inevitably perish in a prolonged civil war. The end does not justify every means. It justifies the strictly necessary means. True stability is not a permanent monument. It is a daily, unyielding war.
Your philosophy leaves no room for honor, genuine love, or the soul. If a leader spends his entire life paranoid, betraying friends, and wearing masks, he dies alone, stripped of his humanity. I challenge that your entire ideology is actually a coward's defense mechanism, masking a deep terror of vulnerability. You weren't a master strategist. You were just afraid.
That is a poet's critique, not a ruler's heavy reality. Honor, Absolute morality and genuine love are beautiful luxuries meant for private citizens, not for the men, tasked with holding the crushing weight of empires on their shoulders.
If a leader prioritizes his own pristine moral purity over the survival of his people, he is the true coward. Yes, the path of the prince is one of profound isolation,
Unrelenting paranoia, and absolute spiritual sacrifice. He willingly damns his own soul so that his nation might endure the storm. You call it a coward's defense mechanism. I call it the ultimate tragic sacrifice of true leadership. I was never afraid of vulnerability. I was terrified of the horrific ruin that weakness brings.